Special at-home edition of Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Appreciate you joining us as we want to take a look at the injury report for both the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs ahead of Sunday's AFC Championship game. And there are some notables on both sides. Let's start with your Baltimore Ravens first. Big news, much anticipated news. Mark Andrews is officially off the injury report and cleared to play in Sunday's AFC Championship game after the ankle injury that he suffered in Week 11 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Huge relief for Baltimore to have Mark Andrews back. And you talk about timing. If you recall, at the time this injury happened, we heard John Harbaugh say that he thought it was season-ending at the time. And that kind of put the whole season in flux. Was Isiah Likely going to be good enough to step up and get the job done for the Baltimore Ravens and fill the void left by Mark Andrews? Because statistically speaking, although Isiah Likely had shown some flashes, he had never been consistent. But what we saw in that stretch was Isiah Likely just play fantastic. And the offense did not miss a beat without Mark Andrews. The only loss they suffered was the week that the Ravens had their starters sit out for the most part in Week 18 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a big deal for the Ravens to have Mark Andrews back, one of the best tight ends in football. I mean, championship game. You want all your best players to be available and have the chance to play in this type of environment. And I'll say this. I mentioned this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again. When it comes to Mark Andrews, okay, when we've seen in the past when he's come back from injuries that he doesn't just come back to come back. That when we see Mark Andrews return to the football field in these type of situations, he is 100% there and ready to go. And I expect Mark Andrews to come in firing, guns a-blazing, that you're going to see him play at an extremely high level and play really well on Sunday. And hopefully Todd Monken has had some time to install and get creative with some 12 personnel packages for Andrews and Isiah Likely both to be effective on that front. So I want to ask you guys, what do you think? Who do you got? Who wins? Now we know Mark Andrews is going to play. Are you leaning towards Baltimore or Kansas City? Type R for Ravens, type C for Chiefs. Let us know in the comment section who you got to win this game. Folks, this is why you subscribe to Ravens Rundown. I'll be honest, I've had a busy day today. Running errands and taking care of car issues and whatnot on my off day, but still wanted to bring you guys content on the channel to tell you what's going on with this injury report. Subscribe now for the latest happenings on your favorite team. We will be live here on the channel for the AFC Championship game coming up on Sunday afternoon. Our coverage begins 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific for Ravens Chiefs AFC Championship live on Ravens Rundown. Come hang out with us, have a drink with us, and cheer on your Baltimore Ravens here on the channel. We will see you then. The rest of the Ravens injury report. Mark Andrews, we mentioned, cleared. Marlon Humphrey with that calf issue, he is questionable, but according to reports, it looked promising of his play on the field in practice today, so that's a good sign. Phillips with the shoulder injury, he is doubtful. Tylan Wallace with the knee injury, he is questionable, and sounded like in practice he didn't do a ton today either, so not great as far as that goes. Then Rockyasin with the knee injury, he is questionable, but realistically speaking, this is the end of the year. You're going to have injuries. Everybody is. Nobody is 100% healthy and ready to go. And the Ravens to be in this spot, I think you can work with this. This is very reasonable for the Baltimore Ravens to be in this position they're in on the injury front. This is a very manageable situation as far as I'm concerned. I think there's just no excuses for this team not to play at a high level on Sunday. There's no injuries that are big enough to hold this team back from playing to the best of their abilities. Now the other side with Kansas City. We told you earlier in the week, Joe Thuney, their star offensive guard, is out with a pec injury. He will not play. He has not missed a ton of football in his career, dating back to his time with the New England Patriots. So that's a big deal for the Chiefs to not have Joe Thuney involved for their lineup with that pec injury. Kadarius Toney, he's been battling that hip injury for several weeks, dating back to the New England game. He's questionable. And honestly, the Chiefs offense has been better without Kadarius Toney, so it doesn't really make a difference on his front. But the most notable development today was the update that we got on Isiah Pacehco with an ankle and toe injury. And in Pacheco's case, with this injury that he is dealing with that makes him questionable for this game, Pacehco was limited in practice today. And usually these Friday practices are a good indicator if you can give it a go, if you can play or not. The fact that he was limited in practice today is not a great sign for Kansas City of Pacheco's status. Pacehco, since entering the league a couple of years ago, has been one of the better running backs in the NFL. And we've talked a lot about on this show, as many people have other places, that the Kansas City Chiefs, their receivers have struggled so much this year that they have to run the football well. They have to run the football to be effective. And if you're Kansas City, you probably can't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get the job done if he's the only back that you can depend on, that you can ask for. So Isiah Pacehco, whether he plays or not, he's definitely not 100%. I can tell you that much heading into Sunday's game. So we know that the Ravens have a stingy run defense. We've seen how well they've stopped the run all year long, and now things got even more difficult for Kansas City to try to run the football here. Patrick Mahomes in this passing game cannot win it by themselves. They're going to have to run the football well, and this is a nice break for the Ravens with Pacehco not quite being 100% at this point. So those are the two big developments today. Mark Andrews, good to go. He will play, ready to get back on the football field for the first time since Week 11. And then for Kansas City, not only Joe Thuney out, that we already knew, but and then also that Kadarius Toney factor, but the Isiah Pacehco injury of him being questionable with that ankle and toe injury. We'll see if he gives it a go and how well he plays. Will be interesting to see how that ultimately plays out. Do you think Mark Andrews is going to play well? I'm very confident. I feel pretty good that we're going to see Mark Andrews at full strength and he's going to have a good game going up against this Chiefs defense. What do you think? Does Mark Andrews play well? Answer it for me in the comment section. Y for yes and for no if you think Mark Andrews is going to have a good game or not. Keep it locked into Ravens Rundown for the latest updates on your favorite team. We got content leading up to the AFC Championship game you will not want to miss out on, and we'll be live for the AFC Championship. Myself, Big Tex, we'll see you at 2 p.m. Eastern for our hour-long pregame show, and then we'll, of course, be live as the game's happening and react to it, have a few drinks on hand. You will not want to miss it. Ravens, Chiefs, AFC Championship game, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Subscribe now for free. Join us on Sunday. Lock us in, and we got you covered right here on Ravens Rundown. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.